pesticides into the vegetation.
Right.
Yeah, so that's perfect. That's perfect. Again, this is your Whitehorse Creek site.
Mm-hmm.
And again, relatively uniform. It looks like a little bit more whitewater up here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then finally, your McLeod River. Looks like you have a shallows here, deeper run here. Did you get over into the vegetation here?
We just stayed in the run.
Okay.
I
Because
mean,
this
the riffle, sorry, the riffle.
riffles, yeah.
Mhm.
So to me, that would be nice to try and see what is hiding in there.
Mm.
Like just as a commentary, all we have is the results as we have them. But that's always the sort of thing I'm always looking for too, is these unique microhabitats.
Mm.
So you got your riffle, but I'm always curious, can I sneak in here? Because there are things for sure, especially aquatic hemiptera.
Mm.
Quite often you'll get in these deeper areas where it's more still water.
Right.
So it's just something to keep in mind. So got to talk about the cabin DNet for your 3 minutes of madness. You are working that in a stream, sort of kicking your upstream of the net. You're keeping that on the actual bottom of your stream. Now, here's the thing. If a person is doing that and they get a lot of particulate, you're supposed to bucket swirl it and sort of settle it out. These are some of the samples we have seen. This is not from Athabasca. You can imagine all these delicate little insects, and this sample was bucket swirled supposedly. We had 4-inch sticks. We could have started a fire if we dried them out. Imagine what that does to your specimens, right? And it also, in a sense, is preventing maybe stuff from getting down into, let's see, this is your collecting cylinder. If you have a whole bunch of silt and branches in there, the things you're actually after may be up here and may be able to get away. And the other thing is you have to dump this supposedly into your Marchant box and pipette out. So these are 2-centimeter cubes. You fill it up, tip it, and it should be evenly distributed out there. Imagine trying to deal with stuff like this. So you basically have to sieve your samples, which causes problems as well, because sieving them tends to break them. So there's our dirty little secret, excuse me, that we find useful is you dump your initial sample into a white tray. All right, dump it into a white tray, pour some water in there, and swish stuff very carefully out. Start swishing it, swish, swish, swish. Fine. You might have extra silt. This net is actually the same microns as your cabin D net, so you aren't losing invertebrates pouring it through that. You could pour this through that into that and go back and forth, so you're never spilling any sample. All right, we find that makes a huge difference if you're out collecting. You get everything. You don't damage the specimens, because again, shipping all that silt and gravel creates major problems. It will crush the specimens, especially if you're having to backpack them out. Now, these are lovely samples. This organism is a Tapula, so that's a crane fly. For context, Diane put a scale bar, but the reality is, if anybody has a Sharpie, this insect is literally about the length and diameter of the end of a Sharpie. All right, imagine that as trout food. That's a multi-year living in the substrate. All right. And again, one of the things to keep in mind is to make stuff useful, you need everything uniform, collected in the same season. And they say cabin sampling is done in late summer or fall. Okay. The late summer, fall is chosen for several reasons. To me, one of the biggest things is number 3. This is from the cabin field manual, is flow conditions. You'll also have a peak in the spring. And you'll actually have things like this winter stonefly coming out on the ice. So there are things around at other times of the year, but in part it's about flow conditions to get out there when the water level is relatively low. You also want that the stage of their life cycle is advanced enough to identify to the taxonomic level that you want by cabin. And again, so spring is also equally good probably for that, but you can't get into the rivers as well. All right, so something to keep in mind there. So this general statement of that's the only time to do it, there's reasons for that really. And the low water level means that the substrate below the wetted stream channel is stable. Okay, so that's also functional, but to me, one of the most important things is your taxa are at an aquatic life stage at that time of year that is amenable to identifying, and the flow conditions are usually low so you can get in the streams themselves. But this was actually collected in the start of May, and of course these come out on the ice in the winter. All right, so don't just think fall gets you everything. It doesn't. One of the classic examples too, this is again from Merritt Cummins, the Bible for insect identification for aquatics. Keep in mind, some of these things, this is showing adults. Adults 2 months of the year, larvae 8 months or 9 months. Basically eggs, so you won't collect them 1 month. These are all genera that occur in Alberta, these 2 genera. These are caddisflies. Look at this one, diapausing eggs. So if you sample and hope to get this species, you aren't going to get them in the end of the summer and into the fall. They're eggs. You might get them doing e-stream data, but you will not get them in an actual life stage that we can identify as taxonomous, okay, as morphological taxonomous. Again, this one, a lot of time as adults, less time as immatures in your stream. So from Diane and I collecting in the province for quite a few years now, from our experience, this is down in the Castle again, but you know, the Castle, Waterton area, Beauvais, up in through Kananaskis, going up towards Jasper. Our experience, 1,100 meters to 1,600 meters, late August to early September seems ideal. Your water level's low enough. You still got lots of mature fauna there that makes it easy. I have to say, your stuff collected, Sarah, I thought was in very nice shape. So obviously it wasn't had too much debris in your net, and the maturity was pretty good.